What's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. You're watching Keto Rewind. Okay, so today's kind of a fun video in that in a previous video I asked you guys to comment with your questions and essentially like pick my brain so that I could do a question and answer video, or keto questions and answers video. So basically, you had questions, I've got answers. So let's get started. Okay, so I have 3 basic platforms that I post on. I'm trying to get the hang of Instagram. I'm not very good, but I'm gonna try and learn how Instagram works and all that. I'm mostly on Facebook and YouTube. But we're gonna start with the Instagram questions first, and because I'll probably butcher the name, I'm just gonna name the question. I'm not gonna try and get the handle correct. Okay, so let's start. With the first question is, what motivates you to keep going and push past the temptations and rough times? Also, what specifically made the decision for you to do keto above any other program or way of eating? Is your main focus weight loss or health or a combination of both? That's a really good one. Let's see, I'm gonna break that piece by piece. The first one, what motivates me and to push past the temptations, to be honest, I feel the support and strength that I get from having this YouTube channel and Facebook group, and basically, I feel like you need to have support. And sometimes the most obvious things like, you're overweight and it's unhealthy isn't enough, or being a mom to kids and wanting to be healthy still isn't enough to get you to kick your butt in gear. So I had to think of a way for me to help myself, and that means I had to basically come up with my own hack. So you know yourself best, and you know what makes you tick. So I know that by nature I'm a people pleaser. I will always put everybody first before me or my needs. You know that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup? I am so far from that, it's not even funny. Like, I am just a giver. So in order for me to finally find something that works, I knew that if I created this YouTube channel and social media platforms around here, that I would show up every week for my weigh-in, and I would tell you basically all the details of my journey and basically document the whole process. So when I formed a community, you guys would all start relying on my weekly updates, my random videos during the week with my tips and tricks and all that. I know that if you guys were counting on me to show up, I would show up first, because that's how I work. So I had to find a way that would basically hack my brain into getting this to be a consistent and my new norm. So basically, that's why I formed this community. I'm thriving off of it, and it's made a passion of mine now to help people. Because look, face it, I weighed 309 pounds. I know how miserable and how awful you feel at that weight. So I had to form a community so that others knew they weren't alone. And I couldn't relate to anybody that I was finding. It might have been due to the algorithm or that's hiding posts. But when I searched for morbidly obese people trying to change their life, I didn't come up with great options. So I knew that would be another way to help others. It's become a passion of mine to help. So that's part 1. Part 2, what specifically made me to pick keto above another program or way of eating? Well, obviously being 309 pounds when I started, every doctor, my main primary care physicians, just random doctors that I would encounter always harped on my weight, and a lot of them suggested bariatric surgery. I have a whole video right here on that topic, but the reason I chose keto instead of bariatric surgery, and before I go any further, my mom has a lap band, so I am a supporter of what works best for you. I'm not dogging bariatric surgery at all. Like, it clearly worked for my mom. She's 120 pounds lighter. It's changed her life. With that being said, I feel like I would have had to change my eating anyways. So you can't still eat the way you were eating at 309 pounds if you have bariatric surgery. You still need to change your eating and find the triggers and, you know, that self work that makes that tool of bariatric surgery useful, and work in its designed intention. So I felt like if I had to change my eating habits anyways, it costs a lot less to not have the surgery, and there's way less risk involved if I didn't have the surgery in the first place. So like just losing the weight alone at my own pace was a lot safer in my opinion. So I figured that if I had to change my eating habits anyways, and I'm a cheap person, we have enough medical bills and stuff on its own than to add in those medical bills, and plus it's risky. I have a genetic heart defect, and that is risk in itself. So I figured that if you have to change your eating habits anyways, what's the point of bariatric surgery? But that's my personal belief and why I didn't choose bariatric surgery. However, if this was my last Hail Mary attempt, and if I didn't do it this time, I was going to look into it. So, but it's just a matter of how much time do you have left? Are you in your late 50s and on all kinds of medications, have a ton of health ailments? You know, if you're out of time, maybe that's your best option. But for me personally, I'm young, cheap, and I know I could do it, and I was giving myself one last shot. So, and I would still have to change everything about my healthy eating habits anyways. So that's why that's why I picked keto. And personally, on a side note, I've enjoyed eating keto. Like, I feel satisfied. I do like eating keto. Is your main focus weight loss or health or combination of both? That ties into what I just basically said. Obviously, I need to lose the weight. I want to be a healthy weight. I want to weigh 169 pounds. That's my goal weight. And I'm in week 23 of my journey, 65 pounds into my journey. I obviously, weight loss is a goal, but at the same time, I just want to be healthy again. I want to rewind my health from morbidly obese to a healthy, normal weight. I do have, like I mentioned before, I have a genetic heart defect that causes heart failure and cardiomyopathy. It's something that I've been born with. It wouldn't matter if I weighed 100 pounds or 400 pounds. It's a genetic issue that I have. But being overweight speeds the process up. So it is a motivating factor to not have all this excess weight on me, because I would love to try and get to my 70s, you know, before I have pacemakers and all that stuff. Because I know that's that's my future, but why add fuel to the fire by being morbidly obese, having, you know, other issues that are combined that will make that condition worse. So health is also one of my factors, not just the weight loss. Okay, what are your average calories per day? Obviously, when you lose weight, you have to keep recalculating your macros. But right when I first started, I think I could have 1,800-ish, and I would stay about 100 under that just for a cushion. But now, at my weight now, at 245 this morning, I can have 1452, I think it is. I don't go over 1,300. Like 1,300 is is like my sweet spot right now. So with that being said, it gives me like 100, 150 calorie cushion, but also that can help for the margin of error when you're logging foods and selecting foods in your app to log in your food diary. Sometimes they're not all accurate, so it's like just having that 100 to 150 calorie cushion helps with those technical issues. And then also, I don't try to ever hit my fat limit. I always try to aim for my protein goal and my carb stay under my carb goal, but I never ever try to hit my fat goal. I think I can have like 119 grams of fat or something at my current macros. I have excess fat. I'm morbidly obese still. There's no reason to eat excess fat if you have excess fat. So, in my personal belief, I never try to hit my fat goal, which ends up being probably around those 100 and 150 extra calories that I'm allowed. That's why I'm easily able to stay at like 1,300 calories easy. Plus, it's really hard to eat all those calories in a day because I'm not hungry. I'm satisfied. Like, it's hard for me to even hit 1,300. Like, I would be happy at 500, but clearly that's not smart. But it is hard for me to hit that when I'm fasting because I'm not hungry. On the weekends I can hit it no problem, but during the week I'm so busy working and doing everything else, half the time I forget to eat. So it is a struggle to try to even get 1,300 calories in. Let's see, next comment. What are your macros now compared to when you first started? Well, I kind of already answered that. When I first started at 309 pounds, I think I was allowed to have like 1,800-ish something. I don't remember exactly. But now, 65 pounds lighter, every time I've lost 10 pounds, I recalculate the macros. Carb Manager, if you go so far as pay for the premium, it will automatically adjust your macros every time you update a weight loss on their scale. So that is one perk about having like the premium, but you don't need that. You can just type it in yourself for free. But I just signed up for the premium because it was on like clearance one day, and I was like, hey, what the heck? I've got $1 a month. But anyways, so I recalculate every time I lose because there's no reason to eat at that level if you're not that level. I want to be in a calorie deficit. I do most of my weight loss without much exercise. So the diet is a huge part of my success. So, and essentially, if I am 309 pounds, if I'm 245 pounds, I don't want to be eating at a 309 pound level. That's way too much food, and you're not going to lose weight. And then you get frustrated. And so anyways, every time you lose, make sure you're recalculating them. And right now I eat around 1,300 per day. Well, this is like I'm kind of leading into each question here. How much and what exercises do you do? Right? Up until this point, week 23, I have done very little exercise. I have had a gym membership since I started, but I went once. But I do, as I've been getting more energy and energy, I've been walking to the park with my kids probably every day. And while the kids are playing at the park, I use the park benches and I'll do squats, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, and just do body weight exercises while they're playing. But nothing really structured. And I've made a couple videos about the bodyweight exercises that I do. However, I've been doing a lot of research and I've found that a lot of health benefits will come from strength training. Being that I have 140 pounds total of weight to lose, I don't want to be jiggly. So far, I feel like I look great and I'm nice and tight. I don't have like any real problem areas you can see from my videos, but as I lose another 70-ish pounds, I'm going to need to fill some of those areas with muscle. So another reason why I always try to hit my my protein numbers is so I don't lose muscle. So when you lose, you're just losing fat from those areas. So when I head back to Texas in about 2 weeks, I am going to start strength training at the gym and use my gym membership that I've been paying for. So stay tuned for those videos. But I will say 90% of my weight loss has been from no exercise. It's the only exercise I've been doing is to help relieve stress, enjoyable, get those other feelings out that normally if I'm stressed out I would have eaten. Now I go for a walk. But nothing really that structured, just basically a mosey to the park with my kids. And it does wonders still. All right, do you have a hard time getting family to join in with you, or do you do it alone? My family is amazing. My entire family has converted to keto. They eat keto. Obviously my immediate family, like my husband and my kids, they do keto at home. The kids get extras at school and stuff. I'm not really worried about them, but they do eat keto. And they like veggies and stuff, which is really weird, but okay, whatever. They seem to want to copy mom. But my parents, my husband's parents, our friends all around, everybody's been either doing low carb or keto. So when we all gather together, everybody's just converted because everybody pretty much knows how frustrated I've been being so big for so long that they're on board and helping me get to my goal. And that is really rare. If you don't have a support system at home, you have got to find a community of a support system, a friend, a younger, a kid, one of your kids, an adult child, I should say, a friend, a family member, a Facebook group, a YouTube channel. Hint, hint. You just need support to do this. You need somebody to do it with you, and to, because you're going to have weak moments, and you're going to need somebody to help you get back on track or inspire you or to keep you engaged and going. I have PCOS and I have been keto for 3 weeks. I'm losing weight but not feeling the energy consistently. Does it take a while or am I doing something wrong? Good question. Week 3 is when I started to feel good. Week 1 and week 2 of my keto journey were very hard. Oh my God, the cravings were brutal. Oh, if somebody would have brought over cupcakes, I totally would have bailed. But for whatever reason, I managed to muscle through it, and then week 3 happened, and I woke up a changed person. And I have been sold on keto ever since week 3. Just the way I feel in general is, it's night and day. You know, like I drink coffee now for pleasure. I don't drink it because I need it to function. I can think so much better. I have less brain and mom fog. I'm just happier but it takes at least some, and everybody's different. For me, it took me 3 weeks to feel that change. So some people could have it in a week, you know, and then plus there's the carb flu, which makes you feel horrible. But I feel like you gotta muscle through it and see how you are week 3 at least. And then also make sure you've swapped out your white table salt for pink Himalayan sea salt. When you remove all those processed foods out of your diets that have added vitamins and minerals, you still do need those vitamins and minerals. So a way to get those same vitamins and minerals without eating the processed foods is to swap your table salt to pink Himalayan sea salt. Those vitamins and minerals are found naturally in pink sea salt without any chemical processing. So if you're not, and don't be afraid to salt your food too, because if you look at how much salt you were eating on the standard American diet versus a keto, you've got to add salt. So you make sure your salt is there. Sometimes people take electrolytes. I found that if I stay clean and strict to keto, I don't need anything extra other than pink salt. And then you can also drink pickle juice, dill pickle juice as a way to get electrolytes. But make sure you're drinking water too. And stay the course. It's your mind playing tricks on you that says you need those carbs. You don't. Trust me, just muscle through it. Are there any supplements you're taking? No, I'm not taking any supplements. I'm under the belief that if you're following keto and the approach of what you're supposed to be eating on a ketogenic diet, you will naturally get everything you possibly need. With an exception of, if I get a cold, I'll throw in some D3. Vitamin D3 is an amazing, I don't even, is that a supplement? I don't know. Or is it just a vitamin? I don't know. But I do randomly take vitamin D3 throughout like my kids' school year to help with immunity. And then that's about it. I don't take anything else. I don't take any ketones or any keto, whatever those things are called that people try to sell you. No, I don't need any of that. That's what the keto diet is for. Like if you're following that, you're going to make those ketones naturally. So, but that's my belief. Other people are very different than what I would suggest. So you got to do your own research on that topic. But this far, 65 pounds into my journey, I have not taken anything. All right. Hi, I'm losing very slow, but I've been sticking to low carb, just focusing on the carbs and 3 ounces of protein for every meal. Because when I try to reach my macros, my fat is correct, but my protein is way off, or vice versa. It seems impossible to get fats, carbs, and protein equal if I'm focusing on all of them. Maybe I'm not eating enough fat, or maybe my body doesn't work well with keto, and I never make it into full ketosis. I only see a trace on my keto stick, but I do feel like I've lost a little. Please help me understand if I have to do these macros or not, because they are never right. And I am afraid that's why I don't see good results. Excellent question. For one, never try to hit your fat. I consider the fat goal of my macros to be a limit. Never go over that number and never try to hit that number. I just focus on protein and my carb goals. And then it's a lot easier, because if you have excess fat like I do, I want my body to take from my fat reserves first. So I don't feel like I need to add more fat if I've got fat for my body to use. And that's what I've been doing my whole journey. A lot of people don't know that part. But that's one of the things I researched when I started, and it was basically never try to hit your fat goal. Consider it a limit, but stay well below it if you can. But I do focus on hitting my protein goal and my carb goal. So that should make it a lot easier for you. All right, next one. I was wondering if you found out that sweeteners inhibit weight loss. I'm trying to figure out if my sugar-free drinks are stopping weight loss and wondering if you experience similar stalls. Yes, not all artificial sweeteners are created equal. Aspartame equal, Splenda, sucralose, is that how you say it? What are those? Like, there's a lot of them out there that are just very chemical shitstorm. Sorry. That's the best way to say it. So I would avoid those, and I find that if I drink a Coke Zero, if I have too much of anything that has one of those sugars in it, it stalls my weight loss. However, if I have erythritol, which a brand that you might recognize would be Swerve, erythritol, liquids or stevia, and monk fruit, they have no spike on the insulin or glycemic index. So I find that I can lose just fine while having those in moderation. And they taste good to me. I like to mix erythritol and stevia together. They cancel each other out. Like erythritol has a cooling effect. Stevia has a bitter aftertaste. When they put them together, they taste completely as close to normal sugar as possible for me, in my opinion. So, but I do not see any change in the scale if I have erythritol, monk fruit, or stevia. I do see slowdowns on aspartame, which is found in most diet sodas and a lot of foods. Aspartame, sucralose. There's the Splenda, the Equal, all those brands. That stay away from them. Or if you're gonna have them, just have them in moderation. You can have them once in a while. I do have a Coke Zero from time to time, but I'm really trying not to have much of those items in my diet. Do you track calories as well as carbs? If not, how do you keep portions under control? I track everything. I track carbs, net calories, fat, and protein. And I use Carb Manager, and everything that goes into my mouth goes into my food diary. And then that also lets you know how many or how little calories you have left in a day. So if you get to the end of the day and you're hungry and you look at what you actually ate in the day, maybe you have 500 calories left, and you can have a snack. Maybe it's the end of the day and you wanted to have a snack, and because you saw what you logged, you'd be over if you have a snack. So you won't know how much or how little to eat if you're not tracking. So I do it's my number one secret to losing 65 pounds on the ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting, is because I've tracked everything that went into my mouth. Plus, it's empowering to see what's in your food and see how it affects your body. The more you know, the better you're going to be. And last one on Instagram would be, Jess, how do you deal with alcohol? Do you have a drink occasionally, or does it stall you? I'm not a big alcohol drinker. But when I do, like when we have gatherings or I go out, my two go-to drinks would be a Coke Zero with rum, or I'll do like a sparkling lime water with tequila. Oh, and then I guess red wine, like a Cabernet, a dry red wine. But I don't drink it often. I do find that I see people who do drink a lot and are doing keto, it completely wrecks their diet. So I personally would think about, what are your goals? Do you want to lose weight and as fast as possible? If you have it every day, you have to count those macros. If you don't, and you're not honest with yourself, you're not going to get the weight loss progress that you're looking for. It's easy to go over and have one drink equals 2 drinks equal 3, or if you don't even measure the alcohol. So I would just avoid it all and do it really simply. 1 drink a week, and I do a Coke Zero with rum. That's my go-to. If I go out to a restaurant and it's a nice restaurant, maybe I'll order a red wine, like a dry red wine, like Cabernet. Or I'll do a sparkling water with tequila, like a lime sparkling water. Those are my 3 go-tos. Obviously, everything in moderation. I'm not saying you can't have it, but if you're trying to lose weight and change your life and make good, healthy eating habits, I would slow the alcohol until you're done with your journey. This way you can lose this weight as fast and as quickly as possible. If you're very close to your goal weight and losing weight fast isn't quite as important, you can have it more often. But personally, my belief, everything's in moderation. You can have it, but make sure you only have like one a week. There's no reason why you need it every day. Because personally, I feel like you can totally change your life all at once, and that's making healthy eating habits, which include alcohol. So I am a big alcohol fan, but I save it for social gatherings, special occasions, once a week on the weekends. You know, no need to have it every day. Okay, so let's move to those are all the Instagram questions. We'll do the questions on my Facebook group next. And the first one is, I keep hearing about collagens. If we're getting protein from other sources, why do we need this? Then I found this, which was interesting, which means too much protein will make your body revert into converting it to glucose. What are your thoughts? For one, I personally feel if you're hitting your protein goals regularly and you're eating good quality meat, you're getting everything you need there. And if you incorporate intermittent fasting with that, you're going to get those same benefits. That's my personal belief. However, there's one brand I have been looking at, and I like the quality of it, because not all collagen is created equal. Some of that collagen comes from cows, from those feed lots that are really horrible to those poor animals. So if you can find a good quality source, you know, a cow that got to have free range, pasture raised, you know, fed great foods, you know, sometimes they'll finish them with corn or something, but I'm okay with, as long as that cow spent most of its time eating grass on a nice open, you know, field. That's what I want for my source of my protein. So that's why when I get my protein at the store, I always try to get grass-fed organic meats that have been humanely treated, and that's just overall makes your food healthier. So I don't think adding the collagen is necessary, but that's a topic I really don't know 100% enough to say one way or the other. But if you do go the collagen route, I would just make sure the source of the collagen is a quality source, like a grass-fed cow source. And then also I did read that if you eat too much protein, like a significant amount more, then it would turn into glucose. But if you're only going over by like 10, 20, I wouldn't sweat it. You should be happy you're hitting your protein. But if you are significantly going over your protein, I would watch that, and it might be why the weight is slowing on the scale. Okay, the next one. I know in your videos that you've never had a problem with constipation. However, there are many of us that do with keto. I have severe IBS, and at times keto has helped greatly. It has also helped me with reading my labels, since I have an allergy to wheat. My GI doctor keeps harping on fiber, and most veggies he's recommending are not keto friendly, or I just don't tolerate them. Yes, I know, I have heard there are people that do suffer from constipation when converting to keto, but here's 3 tips. First, drink plenty of water. Make sure you're eating your green cruciferous with green leafy greens like broccoli, kale, spinach, asparagus, like cauliflower. You know, you're getting all those green leafy greens in your diet, you're gonna get lots of fiber in the diet. But if those 2 things didn't help, try some psyllium husk. Like, I have a great keto bread recipe, and it turns out each roll turns to be 2 net carbs. They have the psyllium husk, which is what's made one of the main ingredients, has a very high fiber content. So maybe adding that to your diet will help move things along. But personally, I haven't really had to deal with it, so I'm not a huge expert in the constipation issue, other than making sure you drink your water, making sure you're getting plenty of leafy greens in your diet, and then 3rd option would be try some psyllium husk. All right, next one. Can you give me a quick demo on how of taking your measurements? I'm probably overthinking this, but not sure exactly where to take each measurement. Yes, I actually have a tape measure right here. When I take measurements, it's very important to take measurements, because sometimes when you lose weight on keto, it's different than the way you lose weight on a traditional diet. So sometimes you're gonna have a week or two where you don't see a loss, but you're shrinking. So if you're not taking measurements to track that, when you have those weeks come up, you're gonna be sad and you know what's going on or think you're doing something wrong. But if you're taking measurements, you'll be able to see that sometimes you just don't lose it on the scale. Those fat cells fill up with water. Especially if you're like a yo-yo dieter in the past, your body sometimes doesn't believe you're really that committed, so it'll hold on to that fat cell and just fill it with water instead of releasing the water that's in that fat cell. So when you go through, sometimes when you go through on the journey and you don't lose weight, that's part of the reason, and then you get a big swoosh and it all comes off and you'll wake up like 6 pounds thinner. It happens, it's really weird, and I've had it several times while I've been on my journey. So anyways, but if you're not tracking your measurements, when you come up to those weeks or right before your body has a swoosh, you might feel discouraged. So take the measurements, especially in the beginning. I am so glad I took measurements when I first started, and obviously before pictures as well. But it shows how far I've come now, 23 weeks later. Okay, so take a tape measure and find a landmark. Like a belly button is a great landmark. Your belly button's always there, the same. It may get smaller, but that is what I consider my waist. So let me show you. And when you take it, measure it loosely. And also make sure the tape measure is straight across, because if you have it high or low, that could give you a false reading. So when you take your measurement, make sure, and my waist currently today is 43.5. But use your belly button, find a landmark that this way you put the tape measure in the same place every time and can accurately gauge. Now up here, let me tuck my shirt in, you can see the natural indent on my high waist. I use that one every time. So again, this is what I would consider my high waist. Hold on here. And again, make sure it's straight across the whole way. And I don't suck in because I feel like it's, I could totally judge that, but I leave it the way I naturally am. This way, that's another way to consider the weight. I mean, like if I'm sucking in every time, that throws off the number, and that's not an accurate reading. So we were at 39 at the high waist. And then the last one that I keep track is my hip. And my hip, I pick the fullest part of my hip, so right there. And again, make sure the tape measure is straight across. And again, don't pull it tight, let it stay loose, and it is 52. So, and I track those 3 measurements. I don't really bother with, like you could do your arms or your legs or your neck or whatever else you want to measure. Sorry here. But I didn't really care so much about those numbers as I did my waist. But I like to use a spreadsheet and I keep track of it, and every time I have a weekly weigh-in, I take my measurements. Some weeks I don't lose many inches from those areas because my body's like doing my chin or something. But I mean, it's still nice to see those numbers go shrinking down, and I forget what my last update was, but I was like lost 29 inches total from my waist since I'd started, but that was a couple of weeks ago. So probably my next weigh-in, I'm gonna have to update the measurements, and plus it will show you that you're losing in those areas. But as for arms, I wasn't really too worried about my arms and my thighs, but if I did, I would pick a freckle, maybe a tattoo, or maybe the fullest part of my arm to use as my landmark to measure with every time. And always use the same arm. Don't switch them, because we do have sometimes your right or your left would be bigger than the other one. So make sure you notate which leg, which arm you used, and then what landmark that you're using for the measurement. So belly button, the smallest part of your waist, your fullest part of your hip, that's what I basically would use when I take my measurements. And it's fun to keep a track. You can use Google Sheets to keep track, or like just hand write it down. I mean, have fun with it. Also, what are your feelings on the Atkins Indulge treats? Personally, I like to have, when I have a treat, I want to make my own treat, and that's mainly because of the ingredients. I like to sweeten with erythritol. I like to use ingredients and have the control. If you're in a pinch, those are fine, but I would like to stay away from that and make my own treats up ahead of time and go use those instead. But if they work for you, I mean, go for it. Let's see. What are some keto things we can cook in the air fryer? That's a great question. I probably have to make another video for that. But I like to roast my veggies in my air fryer, and I will put like asparagus. I'll cut off the tips or the end and just have the top part of the stalk. Drizzle with a little olive oil, salt and pepper, mix them up, throw it in the air fryer, 400 degrees for like, I think it's like 12 minutes or until it's done, or maybe it's 15, I forget. But I'll do that with broccoli. I'll do that with the keto bread. I like to toast in there and put some butter on it, and then you toast your bread. But I have a lot of recipes for that I'll probably make a separate video on. But definitely put your veggies in there with just a little bit of olive oil, and it's so good. Daily electrolyte intake. Almost like a menu of different combinations of foods or supplements to get our daily electrolytes. Does that make sense? Yes. Personally, I still, going back to what I said in a previous comment, if you're eating the keto foods that you're supposed to, like the ones that make staying in ketosis easy, like leafy green vegetables as a whole, grass-fed, heavy creams, good quality organic oils, good quality meats. If you're eating all those things already, you're gonna pretty much be there. But if you absolutely need electrolytes, I would use that only if you really feel you need to do that. Sip some dill pickle juice. There are electrolytes up there that if you're like an exerciser, I'm not familiar with those brands. I know my husband takes one when he goes cycling, because he goes like 68 miles. But so he'll take an electrolyte, but I'll have to post I'll post below what he uses. But I personally, unless you really feel bad, I wouldn't bother taking them. I just follow the keto diet. One more thing, I would like to know of a really good and clean, decently priced protein powder. I like Isopure. I get it on Amazon. I'm not sure if they carry them in stores. My local stores doesn't, but I will post the link below to the Isopure. Sometimes I'll make breads and stuff and use the protein powder, so I'll link that below. Do you count calories? Do you also test your ketones with a blood meter? That's a great question. Yes, I do count calories. I use a food diary called Carb Manager to track everything that goes into my mouth. But do I test my ketones with a blood meter? I am curious about that. I have read mixed reviews on that. If I did decide to use one, I'm thinking I want to try the Keto Mojo, but they're like $59, and I don't know if I'm that committed yet to spend it. But I'm thinking maybe I'll just get it and maybe review it or something, type of a video. But I feel like if you're following keto, you feel great. You really don't need that. I'm 23 weeks into my journey and I have not used anything like that. But it would be fun kind of to track it, but not read too much into the results, because if you feel good, that's the result I want to use first. So stay tuned. I'm going to think about if I want to buy one of those Keto Mojos or not, but because I'm kind of interested, but it's not required to do keto. And I have used keto urine test strips in the past, and I feel like that was just a waste. You can throw off your urine by just being dehydrated, or you can be too hydrated and not show an accurate number. So I personally do not recommend the keto test urine strips. If you're eating the keto foods, you're going to be in ketosis. It's just that easy. You look great. Watched your videos on my way to work this morning. Very, very motivating. Thank you. Is the scale your most important measure of success? What are your favorite non-scale victories? while it's nice to be able to say I'm in Wonderland, which I'm not yet, I can't wait to be in Wonderland. While it would be nice to say my weight is 169, it would be super nice to say that, I still feel like my non-scale victories have been way more gratifying. Like, we have a Suburban in the third row. When I was 309 pounds, I couldn't get the seatbelt to fit on me the way it's supposed to. I'd have to get my head in there to give the strap more length to clip it. Now I can put it on no problem. So like that alone was like really exciting. I have a kitchen island at my house in Texas, and when you open the refrigerator, my belly would rub because it was so big. I can't wait to update that video to show if I'm rubbing anymore. I mean, like little things like that that are just so silly, but someone who's been morbidly obese for the past 13, 15-ish years, those are huge things to be able to do now. And like water slide weights, I can go on water slides because I'm not over the weight limit anymore. When I traveled up here from Texas up to New Hampshire, where we're at on our vacation right now, my legs didn't swell, you know, and I felt great when I arrived. I'm losing weight on vacation. Like, I've never done that before. Let's see, what other non-scale, not having to shop in plus size clothes anymore. Really, really, really is exciting because I've been shopping in plus size clothing or plus size sections or the women's sections for so long, I didn't even know where the ladies or misses was, you know. So, and then when I go in there, there's so many cute things to pick from that they don't make in plus size, unfortunately. So just being able to say I'm a size large now, and I'm not a 3X, I'm not a size 24 or 22, I'm a 14, 16. I mean, just little things like that have been so much sweeter than the actual watching the scale shrink. I mean, I will say it's nice to see the scale go down, but I've always been somebody that weighed more than other people because I'm unfortunately big boned. So I always look like I weigh less than I do. That's why me at 169, I'm very small at 169 because I'm big boned and I'm tall, versus somebody else who would be 169 with a smaller bone structure. You know, so I'm used to always weighing more anyways and not really being quite so bothered about the number on the scale. But I do believe my non-scale victories have been so priceless, and like looking at my pictures and seeing a jawline emerge and you know, like collarbones come out. I haven't seen collarbones or wrist bones or knee bones in so long, and those things have just meant so much more to me and have inspired me to keep going. Let's see, and the last question in the Facebook group, are you going to do a video on how to count your macros? Yes! My mom is so technologically challenged. Oh, she gives me a headache sometimes, but I'm trying to teach her how to track her macros, and if I can teach her how to track her macros, anybody are going to be able to learn. So I'm making a video with her asking her questions and everything, so that I'm going to post it when we're all said and done. But when I get there, if I can successfully have taught my mom how to do it, anybody can track their macros and count them using a food diary. And so that video is coming up. So definitely stay tuned. I have one right now that I just had, like, literally setting it up and how to calculate them, and that's a different one. Here's that link. But when I actually get to the how to do it and like literally how I plan my menu and all that, it's gonna be a whole nother video because it's a whole nother topic in itself. But stay tuned, that one is coming, especially when I get back to Texas and I'm out of the woods and we have real internet again. It's been very challenging up here to make videos on that because our internet is horrible up here in the woods. So when I get back to the big city in Texas, I'll have a lot more videos being able to upload and pump out. So there's my Yeti full of coffee that I'm drinking right now. What's a typical day like for you? This is from my YouTube channel now. What's a typical day of eating? And what foods do you eat? Okay, that's pretty easy. When I kind of already touched on that. When I set up my menu, I plan a whole week out in advance because meal planning is so important when you're keto. You don't have to meal prep, but meal planning is, because when you go to the grocery store and you're tempted by the abundance of like carbs and sugar that's around you and breads, you're going to be so tempted. So if you go with a plan and you use your list and you buy those things on your list and you duck feed out, you're going to be so much better off. Plus, if you come home and you've stayed late for work, or you're running late and you don't have the foods in your fridge, it's so much easier to cheat when you don't have foods on hand. So it's one of those things where if you want to do this, you want to do it right, you've got to plan. I'm a type B person. We don't plan, we don't make lists. And I've had to admit that making a list, a shopping list, making a menu plan has really helped me. And as much as it's not second nature for me to do it, but I'm becoming type A when it comes to my health, and I'm trying so hard, and it's gonna get easier each time I do it. Now I can whip up a menu in like 5 seconds because I know the foods I'm eating. I eat the same ones all the time because when I'm in weight loss mode, I'm trying to get to the goal line as fast as possible. When I get to maintenance mode, I'll have a little bit more freedom in how much of certain foods I can eat. But right now in weight loss mode, getting to the finish line as fast as I can is really what matters. So I eat the same foods over and over every week. I switch them up, with what I'm eating it with to make it a little more variety, but I'm still eating the same foods over and over again. Because for one, it's easier to log your macros if it's already in your diary. And two, those foods cause you to lose weight. So it's a time saver. So, and then, but mainly to answer the question, I have chicken and beef and pork as my meats. Eggs are like my protein sources. And then some of the fats, I guess you could consider sausages, like pepperoni, some of the processed lunch meats, in moderation, not a ton, but like sliced turkey, sliced pepperoni, sliced salami, or like the meats. And then oils, my go-to is olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. And plus I do most of my shopping at Costco and Sprouts and Kroger are like my 3 go-to stores. And then for vegetables, I do green beans, spinach, kale, broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower. Let's see, off the top of my head, those are the ones I have every week. So, all right, let's go to the next one. Will you please share some recipes? Yes, I'm gonna make a lot of what am I eating in the day videos coming up. Let's see, how much did you weigh and how much have you lost? I have not been able to see that anywhere. I pretty much, I thought I'd been putting it in all my menus. I started at 309 pounds on February 11th, 2019. As of week 23, I am down to 245 pounds. And I went from wearing a size 22, 24 to a size like 14, 16 misses. So I've lost to date 64 pounds in 23 weeks. And I will say, this whole process, you can see from my weekly weight loss videos, some weeks I gained, some weeks I've had nothing, no loss, and some weeks I've had big losses. It's all a journey, and unfortunately some of the times that I've gained, I calculated the weeks that I did have a gain, and it turned out, sorry, my phone's buzzing. It turned out that I would have lost an additional 20 pounds that I can't say I lost because I had to re-lose weight that I gained. I went off the wagon, I went on vacations, I didn't know something had something in it. Like I probably had, I want to say 5 weeks or so at minimum that I had gains in my 23-week journey. So I would have, if I didn't do that, I would have been down 84 pounds today versus having to re-lose those same 20. So I can't even count that as my actual weight loss because it was, I lost it, gained it, and lost it. But I feel I got so much stronger because I learned a lot. I learned it's not worth it to cheat and go off the wagon. I learned if you're gonna cheat, only make it a cheat meal. Don't cheat 4 days in a row. I gained like 8 pounds that week. I mean, granted I was on vacation, but I didn't need to go completely off keto for 4 days because it took me 2 weeks to get those 8 pounds off. So, but I learned how much stronger I am and how I can redirect those emotions when I have my period, or like it was a learning process too. So I am grateful that I was able to lose and get back onto the wagon when I fell off the wagon. And had I not maybe failed, I maybe wouldn't have learned the lesson so valuably. So I do appreciate the times I didn't lose, because I have learned, I took a lot away from a learning perspective, and I learned about myself, and I saw how strong I am, and I can do this. All right, let's see. There's a lot of comments that I appreciate. Everybody's comments. You guys are so sweet, so nice, and so encouraging, and I read every single comment. I appreciate everything you say and all the kind words. So it brings me great joy to wake up and I get to respond to everybody's comments from the day before, and it's just so awesome. Let's see. I think that's it for now. This has been a really long video, and if you've stayed to the end and you would like a question answered, comment below with your question and I will hit it up at my next video, or maybe I'll just respond, to your question right then. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give me 2 thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below if you have enjoyed this. And like I said before when I first started, this is what's worked for me. This is my personal opinions. This is what I've researched and what I've gathered, because I'm a researcher. Before I do something, I don't just take somebody's word for it. I highly suggest you research for yourself and learn it, because if you don't take that one step of the puzzle, it's hard to know what you're doing if you didn't learn it. So you'll have more success if you do your own research, you plan, and you stick to it, and you muscle through it, and you accept it's okay to fail sometimes as long as you get back up again. So that's kind of where my approach is when I've been making all of these videos, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have other info that you've learned, comment below, let us know, or let me know. So, but that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you at the next one. I'm Jess, and you're watching Keto Rewind. Bye!